Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayla Medina, and it's a pleasure to be speaking at our 8th grade graduation today. I would like to start by saying that I have not lived in Carlisle my entire life, but from the very first time I stepped foot into this school, I held on to the hope that somehow, someday, I would belong. When I was 7 years old, my family immigrated here from the Philippines with the help of my aunt and my uncle. I came here with my mom and my two brothers. It was terrifying leaving behind not just a country, but an entire way of living. When I was in the Philippines, I had to skip out on all of first grade since our only focus was getting everything we needed to immigrate. The health documents, legal papers, money, and all of the other things that didn't even make sense to 7-year-old me. People mentioned how young I was, and they asked if I even remember what it was like to move away from a place I loved so much. I couldn't tell you what I was wearing that day or what I ate for lunch, but I could tell you every single emotion I felt, even if I seemed too young to understand. I can still feel the gut-wrenching pain in my heart and the tears in my eyes when I found out that I had to leave most of my family back home, and that soon, I would be stepping on an airplane moving to America. I had that feeling of emptiness, like losing a place I was always meant to live in, and leaving a hole in my heart instead. I vaguely remember the day I officially moved here. It was early December, and the cold weather was so much different than the hot Philippine sun. I had fewer family members around me, and I no longer heard the laughter of my loved ones back home. As soon as I got here, I often wondered if America would ever make me feel at home again. I was worried about my accent, my English, and how others would treat me. I had this thought in my head that everyone would have a bad perception of who I truly am just because I wasn't born here. Moving from the Philippines to Massachusetts felt like grieving a life that was still alive somewhere else. You make many sacrifices as an Asian American looking for belonging in a place that makes you feel like an outcast. No one understands the sacrifices my mom made, having to leave behind everyone she loves just to work exhausting jobs in a country that still makes her feel temporary. The food here was very different. It shocked me that people didn't eat rice with every meal. I still catch the smallest glimpse of my childhood, and it hits me deeper than I can explain. Because for a moment, I'm brought back to the version of myself that felt fully connected to my culture, before it began slowly fading away from me. No one understands the guilt of becoming too American for the Philippines, while never being American enough here. The guilt of slowly losing Filipino words feels like losing proof of where I came from. I was always told that I shouldn't get influenced by people that didn't grow up the way I did. People didn't know what we went through. You would look at me and think that I'm just like everyone else. But I guarantee that you and I grew up differently. You can go to the kitchen and easily access tap water. You can easily throw your clothes in the dryer to make sure it's ready in the next hour. And you can shower without worrying about cold water. No matter how young I was, I can remember how I didn't have access to those things like other people did. Sometimes, I feel like the real version of me got left somewhere between the sound of lumpia spring rolls frying, that nostalgic smell of humid rain hitting the concrete, and memories I can never fully explain to someone who never had to leave home behind. I was afraid of the language barrier. Deep down, I knew I wasn't prepared. I was scared of being called quiet because people didn't realize that I was translating everything in my head before every sentence. My first year here was second grade. I walked in with a big smile on my face, but in my head, I said, "Huwag ka talaga magsalita, nakakahiya pag mali ang English mo." Those words, one single wrong word in English would embarrass me, define how I acted. For the rest of that time, all I did was nod and shake my head, hiding the fact that my throat was in my stomach, since I was so afraid of how people saw me. I was afraid they saw me as how I saw myself, a stranger, an outsider, an alien. However, Carla provided great support for me and my older brother, Kurt. This school made my hopes of belonging come true. Carlisle helped me learn English quickly. Over time, I noticed improvement, but it didn't mean I was good enough. I actually had to write the speech in Tagalog before translating it into English. Because somewhere in the translation, the meaning gets lost. The real emotions worth expressing just makes more sense in my native tongue. Kahit minsan, di ko na kaya mag-Tagalog, nandito pa rin sa akin ang totoong lingwahe ko. There have always been struggles when it comes to speaking two different languages. So when people compliment my fluent accent, it reminds me of how far I've come. From not knowing a word to standing here, speaking in a language that once felt unfamiliar to hundreds of people in my community. This truly shocks me because I was once scared to learn English, but over time it became part of my voice too. Both the two languages, both accents, and both identities live inside me, holding together the parts of me that never changed. It's also the words that my heart and mind face first. And there's one language tied to the life I live here, holding together the person I learned to become. Regardless of all the struggles, I always felt supported here. Carlisle has turned opportunities into struggles. Carlisle has turned opportunity into progress, allowing me to live my own version of the American dream step by step through growth, resilience, and possibility. Each teacher I've had truly made an impact with who I am now. Their patience, encouragement, and dedication have meant so much to me. Also, because of their support, I have been able to grow more confident in myself and my abilities. Carlisle was like a perfect town waiting for me to figure myself out. I always hear the words, oh, everyone knows everyone, it's a small town. But if we think deeper about it, that's what makes us a bonded community, being small, niche, and different. High school is only one step away. I'm never going to feel like a middle schooler ever again. It feels like I was just watching the city lights, stray dogs, and hearing the Tagalog language while sitting underneath the Philippine sky thinking about my future. And now I'm here, standing in front of all the parents who have prepared every kid to be right where they are and need to be. Especially my parents, who carried the weight of uncertainty and starting over so I could be here graduating. They made such impossible choices for my future and gave away pieces of their own lives so I could have the opportunities they never had. Middle school was filled with so much drama. Like every week there was a new problem. But of course, I'm always going to appreciate every student here. There were so many memorable connections. I came here not knowing a single person, but everyone surrounded me by a kind of love that people spend their whole life searching for. I found friends who made me laugh so hard I couldn't breathe. Family who always cared to be there for me. And a boyfriend who gets me and understands who I truly am. Our time here in Carlisle went by too quickly. Sometimes the saddest part of leaving is realizing how deeply you're loved while not knowing at the same time that life moves too fast. Moments end. People grow up. No matter how much I try to stop it, time keeps on going. We all leave parts of ourselves behind. We all get lost in translation. I hope all of you know that each of you has had an input to help me become who I am. And for each teacher, I won't forget how you stayed by my side every time I needed help and confidence. Take one look around and take it in. Look how fast everything went. There were probably times you thought you should give up and that everything's going wrong. But look at you now. Every day, I can keep telling myself that I didn't work hard enough and that I had many regrets. There were times where I would dread going to school and wish I could skip whatever class I was giving up on. But at the end of the day, I tried to push myself to my best potential because I know that school is such a privilege given to me by my immigrant family. People may only see this as graduating or receiving a diploma, but for me, I see the years behind it. I see it as growing up between two cultures and the pressure of making my parents' sacrifices worth something. what I have learned, which is that even when we leave things behind, we will keep who we always were. Looking around, I'm very thankful for every parent that is here in support of their children. You have watched your kids grow up so fast. But for me, the first person in the audience that I would look for is unable to be here today because of the difficulties of immigration. I wish my dad had the opportunity to be here right now. For now, we're separated and live in different countries. Sometimes it feels like loving someone you barely got to grow up with, or sometimes I feel envy towards someone having the smallest interaction with their father because I know I can't experience that. And it hurts, I admit it. Being separated from someone you truly love never felt good. But there's also a different kind of love in it. A love built through sacrifice, knowing he stayed back. Tonight, I'll take the love and support my dad has always had for me as I walk across the stage. The reason I stand here right now is because of the hardships my immigrant family has been through. Everyone has made the struggle of being an immigrant worth it by the end, and it helped me to realize that even though it has been sometimes painful, this is the life I yearn for. Love always exists here in Carlisle. Even if we didn't all start here, we found something meaningful along the way. I hope everyone remembers that no matter where life takes us, we will always carry a part of this school and each other with us. To all my family members, especially my dad, hindi ko makakalimutan ang mga araw na nag-stay talaga kayo lahat. Maraming salamat po, mahal na mahal ko kayo lahat. Thank you so much, everyone.